Get a fucking job. I don't wanna be like you. I wanna sing my songs and keep it going all night long.
Warren Buffett, mortgage demands, BBBY, Eurozone inflation, Nord Stream, and Gorbachev coming right up. Woo! Thank you for staying with me. That was epic. If you like the song, it's by a band called Games We Play. This song is called Get a Job. I think this kid is like 20 years old. Is freaking talented. It reminds me a lot of Green Day in their prime, or some sort of a Blink 182 vibe. I absolutely like that. You know, reminds me of my childhood. Anyways, shout out to these guys. So first of all, Warren Buffett trimming BYD stock. Also, we have Nord Stream 1 stopping gas flow again. This time, the reason actually is going to make you laugh. BBBY falling again. It seems like it's the end of the pump, maybe. Mortgage demand going down. Very interesting numbers. Eurozone inflation is raging. And before everything else, we have to talk about what happened today. Mikhail Gorbachev, I think the most famous leader except Putin in modern history in Russia, passed away today at the age of 91. Now, a few words about Gorbachev, and that's just kind of to give you the history of where he's at as far as the political figures in Russia, how history has judged them so far. So basically in Russia, the narrative about Gorbachev is not good. It was never really good because Gorbachev is the guy who let the Berlin Wall fall, and there was a lot of hope in the beginning that Russia will open up to the West and become part of the West, but that shit never happened. So what happened is basically, what Putin is now using as leverage to rally his people behind him. Essentially, the West and NATO basically bitch slap Russia all the way to oblivion until Putin used that as fuel to invade Ukraine. Now, I'm not going to get political here. Obviously, what Putin is doing is wrong, and he should have never invaded Ukraine. And this narrative is very manipulative. It's being led by guys like Vladimir Pozner in Russia, who's like this TV personality. He used to work with Donny Yu, by the way. His English is flawless. You would know he's Russian. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And Putin. So their narrative that they're building is basically, Gorbachev allowed the West to take Berlin. And the promise he got was that NATO is not going to move an inch. Now, first of all, there's a lot of flaws in this argument. Number one, Gorbachev didn't really let them take Berlin. I mean, Berlin was pretty much falling apart. The USSR was falling apart. I mean, the thing was basically holding by a thread. So it's not like Gorbachev had a lot of choices. Now, they're also saying in their narrative, Gorbachev just did that to потусоваться с американцами. It means in Russian, basically, in slang, like to be liked by the Americans. So he personally can get paraded around in the White House, the press conferences, make a lot of money, be popular, blah, 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 blah. But he sold the Russian people out on the altar of his own personal success. And also, I think it's wrong. I think Gorbachev probably had the idea of the US and Russia actually working together. But what ended up happening, I think, is a historical mistake by the West and mainly the US as far as how to handle Russia. Because in the beginning, when Putin was young, inexperienced, and weak, he was trying to get into the club, be a part of this, and basically the West and the US basically told him, well, you are irrelevant. We don't give a fuck. Just go away. And they pretty much did whatever they wanted. And at some point, he got stronger, he got smarter, and he weaponized himself, and he got enough cash and friends so he could reclaim his lost insult from when they rejected him from the club. So Gorbachev is a pivotal piece in this because he started this whole process. I think his death in the same year that Russia invaded Ukraine, which is a horrible act, completely unjustified. So it's kind of symbolic. So, rest in peace, Mr. Gorbachev. Now let's move on to Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett is trimming BYD position, and it's really interesting. So the headlines are screaming, Warren Buffett sells BYD. The stock is down 12% today on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. I don't think it's traded in the US. But mainly, you cannot mistake me for a Chinese stock lover. Let's be honest about it. But I think this headline is a little bit overblown. So first of all, I don't think Warren Buffett is more or less bullish on BYD than he was before he made the sell. Because if you actually go and look through the numbers, I mean, the headlines is just clickbait. He basically trimmed his position from 20.04% to 19.92%. So we're literally talking about an insignificant $47 million trim. I mean, for Warren Buffett, $47 million is like for me this piece of candy on my table. I mean, who cares? So it's not a huge deal. In fact, if there is a good Chinese company that has a lot of potential to actually compete in the global market, is BYD. In America, we mainly hear about XPeng and NIO and Li Auto and guys like that. BYD might actually be, I don't know who's texting me in the middle of my video. Oh, it's my mom. Basically, BYD might actually get it done before everybody else because BYD is a completely vertically integrated company. They make their own batteries, their own tech. They make everything. They're a massive competitor and they're selling a lot of cars. But still, if Warren Buffett is actually trimming because he is now concerned about what's going on in China, I wouldn't be surprised. Although it's too soon to tell by a trim of $47 million. He has a huge position in BYD. BYD is a terrific company. The only problem is it's located in a country with absolutely no rule of law, no stability, a complete pandemonium, chaos. Everything goes along with investing in a Chinese company. I spoke about it so much time before. So if Warren Buffett is actually starting to get a little bit more bearish about China, this would be, I guess, the first indicator. But it's too early to tell, so I wouldn't go just saying, well, Warren Buffett is selling off BYD. It's just pure clickbait by mainstream media. Now, let's talk about what happened with Nord Stream 1. So Russia is cutting out Germany again from gas. So Nord Stream 1 is offline again. This time it's for, maintenance. I mean, this maintenance thing is kind of like Michael Burry at this point. Like Michael Burry, who predicts like 57 market crashes in a month. I mean, what's there to maintain, my guy? I mean, they're maintaining Nord Stream 1 like 57 times a month at this point. I mean, every 2 days there's maintenance and it's out for 2 weeks. I mean, clearly it's a pressure play by Russia. Russia is signaling to Germany, hey, this is what's going to happen in the winter if you don't play ball. Basically, Russia's main obstacle to taking Ukraine at this point is Germany. Germany is playing ball with NATO and basically saying we are not afraid of you, Russia, despite absolutely annihilating our own industry, to allow you to become our sole provider of natural gas. And that's the topic for a whole different video. Basically, Germany a while ago, and it started with Schroeder and then continued to Angela Merkel, absolutely annihilated its own existing energy independence, which it had, in order to be more, hug some trees and sing kumbaya around the campfire and be more environmental. And basically now Germany is being held in the nuts by Putin. So I think Schroeder had a lot of issues with, he's getting paid right now by Gazprom and Nord Stream. So the fact that he started the whole process, it's a whole different, issue as far as corruption in Germany. What led to this? Angela Merkel, I think, was just an idiot. I don't think she was corrupt. I think she was just, stupid. Moving on with this. But at this point, Russia owns Germany. And as winter comes with this natural gas thing, it's been a very hard decision for Germany. I don't know if and how long Germany can maintain its hawkish position towards Russia and next to US as far as NATO being very aggressive against Russia. If in the winter Russia cuts out Nord Stream for more maintenance, Germany is going to be in a heap of trouble. And I think that's why Russia is counting on this winter to put some squeeze in Germany and get more accomplishments in Ukraine. Now, moving on. Mortgage demand. Pretty wild stuff. So I'm going to read this thing for you. Look, mortgage demand fell this week by 2%. Now, on a year-to-year basis, this week last year, we're down 23%. It's a major drop. Now, refinancing, which is a huge component of that, dropped from being 66% of this activity to 30%. And I think that the only thing that is kind of left to remain optimistic about the real estate market is the fact that home prices haven't really dropped that much yet. They're pretty much flat, a little bit on the downtrend. So what I think is happening right now is very simple. Look, interest rates are going up. By all accounts, the average rate is up from 5.65 to 5.8. So we're getting close to 6% interest. That's for real estate. At 6% interest, and this market is going to be very hard to make money. So the party is pretty much over. The party was being, take a loan, no interest, buy a property, over leverage yourself, and just print money because the money is literally free. So that part is over. Now you're paying 6% and potentially even more as the year progresses. And there's not a lot of buyers out there, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of demand issues. So real estate is becoming more frothy. Price is still high because real estate is going to be the last thing to go. As I mentioned before, retail is the first sign of a recession, then layoffs, then more retail pain, then the job market becomes soft, and then at the end, the real estate market becomes soft because the last thing people start to default on is home payments. First of all, they buy less, then they actually, default on car payments and stuff like that. Eventually, where they absolutely have no choice anymore, they start defaulting on home loans and mortgages. So that's, I think, is still a year, maybe a year and a half away. Maybe less, maybe more, I don't know. But the fact is there's less mortgages being taken. It's a really good indicator that this lagging indicator, which is the real estate market, is starting to slow down. So now let's talk about BBY. So Bed Bath & Beyond, who I think we should rename to Pump and Dump and Beyond, is down again. So congratulations to Ryan Cohen. He made his $70 million and he's out, no longer a part of this. But basically, this stock went up from $6 in the beginning of the month to $23 in just 2 weeks, and now it's back down to $9. And who knows how far it can drop. It just dropped 23% in pre-market today. I mean, absolutely zero fundamentals with this company. There's nothing going on. It's just a pure, short squeeze idea. Obviously, the company is extremely shorted. There's 40% short interest. There is a potential for a squeeze. But can I tell you with all certainty that this $6 to $23 within 2 weeks happened because of a short squeeze or because of a retail investor frenzy thinking about, the short squeeze? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's probably the latter. It seems like there's a lot of these dreams of getting GameStop again. GameStop money, people bought Ferraris and Lambos. So people want that experience again. I don't know if it's going to happen with BBY. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't gamble. For me, betting on a short squeeze is pure gambling. So I couldn't give less fucks. If you ask me if Bed Bath and Pump and Beyond is a good company, fundamentally, no. They just secured the $500 million loan. They like $1 billion credit, which they secured as well. But look at the balance sheet. I mean, they have $100 million in cash. They're burning through $400 million per quarter. So they literally don't have enough money to end another quarter. They have $3 billion in debt. I mean, how is this going to help this $500 million? It's going to give them another quarter. Also, what was really interesting, they came up today and said, well, we're actually going to raise more money from the public. So they tried to pull an AMC, basically try and sell some more stock to the public as the stock pumped. But they haven't learned from Adam Aaron, because Adam Aaron, he did it correctly. You don't just grab immediately when the stock goes up. You cultivate the community, you give it a name, you create an aura around it, you create a movement. BBY went too fast for the quick money when the stock jumped to $23 and it's gone. And now it's gone. So yeah, Adam Aaron, you should have called him. He knows how to do this properly. Now, Eurozone CPI, 9.1%. Above all expectations. This is pretty wild. So reading the numbers. Now, obviously, look, let's be honest. Nobody in America gives a fuck about Eurozone inflation. I get it, but hold on a second. It is relevant to you because let me explain why. So this 9.1% of inflation will impact you in America. 100%. Prices are global for everything, for commodities, for energy, for whatever. If prices in Europe are going up, prices in the US will go up. It's inevitable. It's a global mechanism of pricing. We don't have bifurcated markets for anything. This is a completely global market. Now, the problem with Europe is that it has a massive energy shortage and an even bigger energy shortage looming towards the winter. We just talked about it in our Putin piece earlier. So Europe is not doing so hot. So that's why inflation is running up. Mainly, the main driver in Europe is electricity inflation, energy inflation, natural gas inflation. So energy is what's pushing this in Europe. But the problem will be, I think, for Europe, much greater than the US. I think Europe at wintertime will test the concept, which really scares me, which is it sucks to pay more for energy at the gas pump, which is what's happening in the US. But it's much worse when you literally don't have gasoline or natural gas or energy at all. So while the US probably will pay more for energy if this scenario plays out, in Europe, they're literally running the risk of rationing actual energy because they might not have enough, and that's a catastrophe. So again, I don't know what Germany was thinking. I think Gerhard Schröder should be actually investigated for what he's done. He used to be the German chancellor. He advocated for Nord Stream 1. He's now on the payroll from Gazprom, and I don't know, might be even Nord Stream 1. He might be on the board or something like this. This whole cyclical movement just absolutely a mindfuck to me that this is happening in Germany of all places. They're the most strict, engineered, law-abiding. What the hell? How did Gerhard Schröder get away with it? I don't understand. Anyways, allegedly. Don't sue me, Mr. Schrader. And before we sign out, a new study came out today. Shocking. Headlines everywhere. 1 out of 6 Americans is smoking pot. Oh my God. Half tried it. One of them did not inhale. That was Bill Clinton. Why is this news in 2022? Where's this 1967? What's going on? See you in the next video.